From the crown of your head to the roots of your feet, you have something you call a nervous system. This nervous system, in its essence, is a meridian line. This meridian line carries the flow of electricity from the crown of your head to the roots of your feet. They are the ones that are keeping your body working. They are the ones that are keeping every single part of your cells, be it that they are vibrating at a frequency of solid, at a frequency of liquid, or at the frequency of gas. Whichever frequency that they are vibrating inside of your own being, there is transmutation of energy. Today, we are going to start with the discussion of identifying these major transmutation centers where most of the energies is stored inside of your own being, and how to actually go about using your physical self to harness this energy to move it from one point of yourself into another point of yourself. You understand? Most of you have already started asking. Okay, you've inquired that you feel in a certain way. You feel like your head is paining you. You feel like your body is beginning to cause certain kind of vibrations. You are in and out of thoughts. You are this and you are that. When the energy begins to flow, you are going to be experiencing changes. You understand? You are trying to move from one level into another level. So definitely these things are to be expected. Now, I want you to listen to what I'm about to say very carefully. Most of you confuses frequency with vibration. They are two different things. Do you understand? I'm going to explain what frequency is and what vibration actually is. Then you get the innermost understanding of what we are talking about. Then when we get to the board, and then I start explaining your energy centers, you will understand a deep knowledge of them and how to go about transmuting the energies in these particular centers. Okay? So let's go to the board. I want you to take a very look at this. When you look at this, this is the exact representation of what a person is. This is cosmic, one of my students. This is cosmic. I'm going to show you how energy moves inside of the body and how energy leaves outside of the body. I told you people that once you begin to get yourself into the elimination way of removing the excess mucus inside of your body, electricity begins to flow very freely. But when it comes to electricity flowing very freely inside of your body has centers. You have energy storage centers. They are the ones that are capable of transmuting either energy of a higher order or energy of a lower order. Now, when it comes to your entire being, there is something you call frequency. There is something you call vibration. Most of you usually confuse yourself when it comes to what frequency is and when it comes to what vibration is. Let me pick one and then we explain that before we get into your anatomy, okay? When you talk about what frequency is, everything inside of this world has a particular frequency resonance to it. Everything inside of this world has a particular frequency. The frequency of it is the actual representation of it. Considered be it in its mass, okay? The mass is the heaviness of it. Be it its volume, the space through which it occupies, okay? These are factors to consider when you are talking about the frequency of a particular thing. Frequencies is a dominant energy form, is one particular energy form. When you are talking about frequencies of people, when you are talking about the frequency of everything that lives inside of this world, when you are able to mew like the way the cows mew, the cows will understand what you are saying. When you are able to bark like the way the dogs are barking, the dogs will be able to receive that frequency. That is what I'm talking about. Each of you inside of this world is operating at a certain frequency. Some of you are operating at 515, okay, hertz, okay. Others are operating at a frequency of 606 hertz. Others too are also operating at a frequency of 716 hertz. Okay, so when it comes to these various frequencies, what you call a hertz is about the flow of electricity, how electricity flows inside of this particular world. Everything inside of this world is capable of transmuting energy. Okay, you are capable of transmuting energy, whether you are visible of it or you understand it physically or not. You are always producing emotions, and these emotions carries what you call the hertz. Okay, that is why you always say, my heart hurts. Okay, my heart is hurting. This is what you are trying to talk about. You are trying to talk about your heart is wavering. It is not in a stable moment. You can't make up your mind. When you are being troubled to the excess, then you are saying it is hurt, I'm hurt, or it is hurting. You are tuning. That is what tuning is. Okay? You are beginning to tune. You are no longer in the same vibrational form. Let's finish the frequency before we come. Okay? When it comes to what the 515 is, That is a specific number, like the way you have your phone numbers. Every one of you inside of this world has a mobile phone number. Unless you are able to call on that particular line, you will not be able to access the person that you are trying to reach to. Do you understand? No matter how much you want to call the person, if you miss one letter instead of one and then you end up making it two, it is going to go into somebody else's. Instead of 6, you end up making it 8, it's going to go into somebody else's. So when it comes to frequency, everything inside of this world is operating at a certain frequency. Is that understandable? When it comes to what vibration is the tune, the tuning, okay? The tuning of hertz. Okay? The tuning of hertz. When you are tuning or when you are hurting, anything in this life that is hurting is turning your attention, because that is what tuning is. You are being tuned, you are being alerted of a specific kind of irregularity that is happening within your entire being. That is why you hurt. When you hurt and you finally make up your mind, then that particular made up mind, okay, becomes what frequency is. When you stabilize yourself now, then you begin to operate at a specific number, be it 606 or 515. But as long as you are still hurting or you are still tuning, you are still what you call vibration. Okay? You are still vibrating. Vibrating is the movement of what hertz energy is, or what energy actually is. Energy moves in various forms, okay? Energy can travel like this. Every form of energy inside of this world travels in this particular sequence. You see it like this, it moves like this. All the radio stations, all the TV stations, their frequency is broadcasted like this. When you are viewing it from a direct point, I told you the beginning frequency of everything in existence is like this, like this, like this, like this. This is how it is being broadcasted. When you are looking at it from a different point, you see it as a 6 or a 9 being joined to each other like this. It's the same vibrational pattern that is being produced from you. You understand? Everything inside of this world is always resonating at a particular frequency. Okay? What they call the 12 laws of the universe, there are no laws to the universe. There are factors. You understand? Factors that are in alignment with the experiences that you get inside of this world. There is nothing like law. Law doesn't exist. You understand? Commandments does not exist. Commandment doesn't deal with anything that has to do with free will. Once you command something, you've robbed that thing of what free will is. And free will is what the soul is. Your soul is free. Do you understand? Your soul, if your soul wasn't free, you wouldn't have been able to know what is good and what is bad. You would have been reacting to life in one particular sequence system. Like the way a robot is being programmed to run a specific program. Apart from that program, there's nothing else that you can do. That is something that has no soul. Apart from that, if you are able to feel pain, if you are able to feel joy, if you are able to feel any kind of emotions that causes you to think about things before you implement them, you have a soul and you have a free will. Okay? So when it comes to your entire being, always you are here, but every time that you feel about something, your heart region begins to produce a certain vibration. Okay, your heart begins to produce every kind of emotion that comes inside of your body, and then it leaves, telling you about when I explain whether it should go down or it should go up, because down is divine masculine and up is divine feminine. That is why it's a man's world. Men rule this world because it's a triangle that is facing down. Men rule this world because it's the world of fear, it's the world of regret, and then it's the world of shame. Okay, that is what men are. Okay, it's a man's world. This is what it means. The eye in the middle that they usually show you, the all-seeing eye, that is what they are telling you. When you move upwards, it becomes the divine feminine, which is also the same triangle that is facing down. Okay, now you are working with love, you are working with unity, you are working with oneness. Now this part becomes the divine feminine, and it's the same eye too. Okay, it's the same eye. You see, so this part is trying to tell you about the creative essence of life, and this part is trying to tell you about the logic or the reasoning way of you understanding yourself. These are two various forms of yourself that is taking information from the heart. The heart is the soul. The soul gets to decide. It's the soul that usually hurts. It's the soul that goes through the pain. It's the soul that goes through the happiness. Everything in this particular life is as a result of the heart. That is what frequency and then vibration is. Every one of you is operating at a certain frequency. For you to reach out to that particular person, you must be able to visualize them. You might be able to feel them. You might be able to understand them to a certain level before you can create a mental picture of what they look like. That means that you are picking up their vibrational patterns and you are recreating them. Do you understand? That is what most of you see prayer to be. When you are praying for somebody, are you visualizing a tree? When you are praying for somebody, are you visualizing a dashboard cleaner? When you are praying for somebody, the person becomes the particular prayer point through which you are giving energy. That is the heart. You are trying to reach out to the person's soul. That is what it is. Okay? So that is the difference between frequency and then vibration. Vibration is the energy in motion, whilst frequency is the one that is the motion. Do you understand? The one that is the motion is the frequency of things, and the one that is in motion is what vibration is. You are a frequency that is operating on levels of vibration, be it a level of love, be it a level of fear, be it a level of this. You have the ability to grow from down of the part of yourself to the upper part of yourself. You are capable of change. That is what I mean. It's simple like that. Okay, so let's go back to your energy centers. I told most of you that when you begin to wear copper or inculcate yourself into copper, I'm trying my very best to see if I can get copper in bulk. That way I will melt them down and then I'll make it easier for the rest of you to be able to purchase, because the coppers out there are very, very expensive. Okay, so when it comes to your energy centers, when you are learning how to put or inculcate coppers inside of your being, you should understand which part of yourself that the energy is being magnified and which part of yourself that you can actually start to cause the transmutation of this kind of magnified energy, that now that you are awakening, you are beginning to feel all these symptoms of hypersensitivity. You begin to sense things deeply. You begin to feel things deeply. You begin to take notice of little things that you used not to take notice of. That is what the awakening is about. It's about understanding the oneness of everything inside of this world. Understanding that you are not different from one thing else. Because if you are hurting the earth, then one day the earth is going to die, and then so will you. You are like someone that is sitting on a branch of a tree, and instead of you to be appreciative of the tree, you are using a hacksaw to actually cut the branch to which you are sitting from. So sooner or later, when you don't stop cutting the branch, you end up falling. You understand? That is exactly the relationship that you share with this world. That is what the awakening is about. It's about you understanding who you are and then getting in touch with who you are so that you can produce more essences to be worthy of the throne of your Father, like Christ. It's simple like that. Okay? So let's continue with your energy centers. Okay? So when it comes to the energy centers of your being, I want you to take notice of this very carefully. Okay? Take note of this very carefully. When you look at your feet, you are made up of 5 feet. Okay? You are made up of 5 hands. Let's get that out of the way. 5 plus 5 is going to give you 1 and 0. That is your entire being. 1 and 0 is the alpha and then the omega, the beginning and then the end. I told you about time. It is out of the box of 0 that every form, okay, be it 9, be it 8, be it 7, be it 6, be it 5, be it 4, be it 3 or 2 or 1, all of them came out of the alpha and then the omega, the beginning frequency of everything. Out of darkness came light. Light is the form, okay, of everything, the shape of everything that exists. Things are vibrating at different speeds. That shows the levels of creativity inside of this universe. You are all not the same, but you are all from the same place. That is what it means. When it comes to this physical part of yourself, one part of you is masculine and another part of you is feminine, okay? From here, from your heart region to the top part of yourself is divine feminine, okay? That is why the triangle is facing down. It's divine feminine. And then from your downwards, okay, from your heart downwards is the other 3 part of yourself, which represents the divine masculine, okay, which is the triangle facing on top. When it comes to what energy is not evil. Okay, energy is the neutral point. That is why it is your heart. Your heart is the center of what energy is. Whatever you decide to do with, be it that you want to be a good person, be it that you want to be a bad person, a decision always has to be made from the heart. Whether you accept that decision or not, it is going to be implemented, because I told you, indecisions are decisions that are being made for you. When you refuse to decide whether consciously I want to do this in life, life will begin to decide what you should do. It's simple like that. By the way of you feeling, you will always make a decision. Do you understand? So it's very good for you to know that or be aware of what the feelings inside of you actually means before you ended up creating life unconsciously and then causing chaos to your own life, thereby blaming your own self and blaming everyone in addition. Okay? So these are two forms of energy that exist inside of the body. When it comes to transmutating them, you are not just one of them. So the way in which energy enters inside of the body is through the cosmic downloads of yourself. When I talk about cosmic downloads, sir, you came from light, okay? You were a light body before you descended into the physical self that you are, okay? We'll talk more into that when I talk about you descending from December to March, okay? But now, no, you descended from light, pure essence of what cosmic light is. That is where you came from, okay? So when you descended down, when you started descending down, you have something you call a crown. Okay? You have something called a crown. A crown are the etheric essence, okay, of life. When I talk about the etheric essence, I'm talking about your hair. Your hairs are the etheric essence that still connects you to the spirit. The spirit is the one thing that is producing life to everything inside of this world. Out of the darkness came light. This particular light is frequencies that are being sent. It's levels of vibrations that are being sent throughout your entire being, from the crown of your head all the way to the roots of your feet, and every living organism that is existing inside of this world. The caterpillars, the insects, the mosquitoes, every single one of them has cells within them. And this universal consciousness, or this Christ consciousness that is of the light, is sending information across every length and breadth. And depending on the frequency that you are on, will tell you whether you'll be able to understand a deeper sense of yourself or not. That's why God never gives you anything more than you can carry. Okay? So if you are operating at a frequency of 413 hertz, that is the level of information that God is going to be giving to your crown. God will not give you anything more than you can actually handle. Because when that happens, then God is robbing you of what you call free will. That is why God doesn't create realities for you. That is why it leaves everything in your possession. That is why He handed everything to His Son. Okay, that is why He gave everything to you, because you are the heart. You can decide whether to create a positive outcome of your life, or you can decide to create a negative outcome of your life. That is why you are the architect of your own life. Its own responsibility or duty is to send information to you. Have you received the information or not? That depends on your level of growth. Be it that you want to move from 413 into another level like 4, 5, 6, then you can be able to receive more from this. All depends on you. Do you want to stay there or you want to grow? That is everything that God has living for you. It's simple like that. So when it comes to the etheric essence of your being, they are the ones that receives information from your crown. Okay? Every form of cell inside of your being is connected to a particular hair strain, just like your sperm cells. You came as one single sperm that divided itself to the body that you have. So every cell inside of your body has a hair, okay, an extension of hair inside of your being. That means that every information that comes inside, okay, is picked up by these signals and they are being transmuted like this all the way to that particular cell. That is how God talks to you. God doesn't speak to you by a way, hello, how are you? No, God doesn't speak that way. He speaks to you by a way of you feeling, because understand that the way I talk to my son is through his heart. That is why Jesus is always pointing at his heart. The heart is the gateway between the blue and then the red part of yourself. This is the red part of yourself, which represents your carnal desires of wanting everything inside of this world, of wanting to taste things, to feel things in a deeper manner. That is the carnal knowledge of yourself, the instinctual behavior of what a mammal, every mammal inside of this world is. Just to live life, procreate, and then you die. That is your lowest self as 413. If you want to move from 413 to 456, then you definitely need to understand that you need to hold back on the kind of impulses that you allow inside of your being. Do you understand? God will always feed you more. Okay, God will always give you more of what your heart is feeling. You are feeling sad, you get more sadness. You don't pray to God and tell God that I'm suffering, I want my life to change. God, this is my prayer point. I want this year to work out for me, and yet you don't take the actions in order for this year to work out for you. You actually feel like me going to pray, me going to do this service to this is actually a way of you assisting me. That is just 1%. Okay? That is 1% of change inside of your being. What have you done with the elimination of your mucus? What have you done with knowing that, oh, me wanting everything inside of this world me being greedy, me being jealous, me being envious, me being looking at somebody's own and be like, that should have been mine. How do you deal towards those things? Are you healing those things? Are you looking at those things and are you trying to understand what they are so that you can release them? I told you, you are energy that flows inside of the body. From the crown of your head, energy flows all the way to the heart, and then it passes all the way to the heart, all the way to the earth's surface. That is how energy moves. And then it travels all the way again back to the top. Okay? It travels all the way again back to the top, and then it travels down, okay, back to the earth, and then it goes back again. That is why you are able to change feelings. Right now, you are happy, the next moment, you are sad. It is electrical nodes that are giving off that particular kind of vibe. So when it comes to your being, you are made with two centers. You have a divine masculine and you have a divine feminine. So when it comes to the transmutation of energy, you have to understand how each of these is working. Since energy is neutral, how do I put myself in a particular neutral balance in a way that I can be able to be conscious of everything that I do? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so when it comes to these two energies, within the divine masculine, there exists a divine feminine. Okay, I want you to understand this very clearly. Within the divine masculine, there exists a divine feminine. Within a divine feminine, there exists a divine masculine. Okay, this is how it is. You will never see a man inside of this world without being able to feel creative things, to create anything that deals with you being able to imagine a life, or you even just being able to see a picture of anything inside of your head. You are tapping into the divine feminine energy of yourself. If you are able to visualize anything in life, you are tapping into the divine feminine life of yourself. When you think about, when someone asks you things and you say, let me think about it, you are tapping into the divine masculine. You are trying to see reason, what he's saying. How do I stand to gain this? If I make my decision this way, is it going to go that way? That is the divine masculine way of thinking things. By way of you saying that yes, and then you produce an entire new idea, okay, to make your bosses rich. Your bosses in this world are the divine masculine. Okay. 90% of them don't care how you feel, but how much profit that you can make for them. So you became the creative essence of the divine feminine to their divine masculine. Okay, you produce the ideas, you do all the necessary engagement, and by the end of the day, they give you a peace. That is why the system is designed in a particular way that since you are a child, from the very beginning that you started as a child, you were born into this world, they have already started separating you and then allowing you to place yourself in one particular single line as an employee. Okay? You are being employed by the divine masculine. That is why you will never be able to find self-freedom. Because they understand that if they started nurturing you wanting to be a carpenter, you wanting to be an electrician, you wanting to be a mason, any of the other opportunities that exist inside of this world, if they were able to polish that, you will wake up and become the best skill, the person that can transplant a heart into another person within 5 seconds. Because every time that you learn about what you love doing what you love. It's simple like that. When your creative essence begins to emerge, you love what you are doing and then you dedicate more time to it. And that way it goes a long way to polish your time. You execute this thing in 5 minutes and then the next minute, the next 2 months or 3 months, they are telling you to do the same thing and you are able to do it in 3 minutes. That is skill. Okay, that is technique. That is you building and getting betterment of yourself. But the system isn't teaching you that. They are teaching you to provide the exact same information that are allowing your manufacturers or your employees, the bosses, okay, your bosses to benefit 90% of your creative essence. It's very simple like that. So when it comes to the divine feminine and then the divine masculine, it's energy. And energy is of a neutral point of existence. Energy does not discriminate whether you are a man or you are a woman. Okay, energy does not discriminate whether you are a man or a woman. The one that is transmuting the energy, the one that is transmuting the energy, you will tell the energy whether I should go negative, I should go bad, or I should go good. Everything depends on the way that you feel. That is why the responsibility is on you. It's very simple like that. I'm stressing this because I want you to understand the transmutation of how your energy centers they work. That way you don't go about making mistakes that later on you feel like this is not how things should go. I'm not feeling the way I'm supposed to be feeling. Because the transmutation of this comes from the heart. if you don't understand the way in which the negative side and then the positive side of your heart works or not, okay, it will be very difficult for you to transmute energy. If you are always seeing things as bad and good, if you are always seeing things as black and white, if you are always seeing things as left and right, you will not be able to interpret anything that the spirit is trying to tell you into any deeper context. Okay, you need to bring yourself back to the neutral point and understand that between spirit and matter, I am all in one. Okay, I have the ability as God to create. I have the ability as God to destroy myself. I can destroy this world and destroy myself and rebuild myself all over again. That is what it means to turn from spirit into matter and turn from matter back into spirit. That is the cosmic dance, okay, of the yin yang, the negative side and the positive side. That is how it is. You are spirit, then you became matter. Then you spend your whole life trying to turn matter into spirit again. That is the only thing inside of this world. Okay? You breathe in and then you breathe out. You breathe in and then you breathe out. Those are the cosmic traits of the negative and then the positive part of yourself. So when it comes to your entire being, from the roots of yourself all the way to the crown of yourself, there's always energy flowing. There is always a flow of energy.